So let's make some noise and welcome Dr. Sukhi Muker.
It is. It's really great to be here. And before we dive in, we're going to jump into some things because I want you to ask yourself some very, very important questions. I have the gift of, speaking all over the world, and truth be told, 95% of the audiences I speak to are not chiropractors and not chiropractic students. Yet, the principles, the ideas, and concepts that allow us to thrive, allow us to flourish, allow us to serve, allow us to play at the biggest levels of life are universal. So we're going to dive into some of those things. But I want to ask you a question. How would you live your life if you knew you could not fail? How would you live your life if you knew 100% whatever you put your mind to, you would achieve? You would have success. That you could turn down the volume of fear, connect to that big vision of what you wanted to do with your life. Because when I look around, I see all these different faces, different clothes, you all look different, you speak different, you behave different, and what I know is inside each and every single one of you is this voice, is this vision, is this song, is this thing that you want to bring to the world. So what I do is I help people connect to that and share that with the world. I love this profession. It is the greatest profession in the planet. Absolutely is. Let's give it a clap. I love this profession. It is an amazing profession. That's why I'm here. I am here to serve. I am here to open up your minds, open up your hearts to what is possible. Because I'll say, I am the least likely guy to be standing on this stage. And I want you to look around. I want you to look at two other people. So there's yourself and two other people. That makes three of you, okay? It can be anyone. People beside you, people in front of you. This is the data. This is the statistics. Between the three of you, after graduation, within 5 years, two of you will not be in practice. Because you couldn't make it. You couldn't do it. You couldn't figure it out. Couldn't overcome the challenges. Couldn't overcome the fear. Couldn't serve the way you wanted to. Couldn't do the things that motivated and inspired you to go to chiropractic college. 1 in 3. When I hear that, it brings tears to my eyes. That's a shame. That's ridiculous. Look around. Add 1 more people. 4 people. So there's you. You're looking at 3 other people. Here's the real data, scientific data from life, okay? This is beyond chiropractic. This is in life in general. 1 out of 4 of you will be happy and fulfilled in your life. 3 of you will hate your life. You think your life sucks, you won't be happy, and you will not have fulfillment. That is a US statistic. 75% of people are walking around like zombies, disconnected, unfulfilled, unhappy, not living their purpose. You combine those two stats, this is what I have to say. The odds are against us. The odds are against us. But I want to share with you, Gandhi says, what's possible for one is possible for everyone and possible for all. Because I'm the least likely guy to be standing here, I want to share a little bit about my journey coming here. I am going to give you some life principles today that you can take home. I got some bullets I will share. We'll dive into those. Like Dr. Ismar said, tonight I'm going to do a Q&A. We'll do that tonight. And this weekend I'm doing a program Friday night and Saturday to be of service. I'm not doing the program to make money. It's charity. If I did that program outside of here, it'd be $1,000 a head. I'm doing that because it's the tools that you need to be successful. And it's not a quick fix, an overnight thing. It's a journey. See, my journey started totally differently. I'm going to go right back to my roots. My father, my family were originally from India. My father was born 6 months before India declared independence. We're Indian. He was born on Pakistan soil. A religious war broke out. My family lost everything. My grandparents, my father, they had to journey their way from that soil back into India because Indians in Pakistan were getting slaughtered and Pakistanians in India were getting slaughtered as well. They came back to India and had absolutely nothing. No job, no land, no food, no nothing. My father had 3 siblings. When he was 16 years old, an opportunity arose for my grandfather to send my father, the oldest sibling, to Britain, to Scotland. And the goal and intention with that was he could get a job and he could send money back so his brothers and sisters could get an education. So that's what he did. At 16, he left his entire life, packed his bags, left the world that he knew to a new world he didn't understand and know, and eventually got his stuff together. When he was there, eventually he got married. He met my mom at the wedding ceremony, arranged marriage, still together. Eventually had my brother. A few years later, had me. When I was 3 years old, I was born in Glasgow, Scotland. There was an opportunity for my father to come to Canada, and he migrated to Vancouver. As he came to Vancouver, eventually he brought his family over, which was my mother, my brother, and myself. Within 6 months of arriving here, things went from good to okay to not so good to absolutely horrible. See, I was raised in the poorest community in Canada. I was raised surrounded by crime, surrounded by violence, surrounded by addictions, surrounded by drugs. That was the environment in which I was raised. I was raised in an environment where I was told I wasn't good enough, I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't attractive enough, and there was no opportunity. Coming to a university was not even on the schedule for someone like that. It was a dog-eat-dog world, 100% survival. And I'll tell you, my first experience where I had a radical shift in my shift in consciousness, and it started the very first day my older brother went to school. My older brother was 6 years old. In Glasgow, Scotland, you go to a public school, you wear gray pants, white shirt, navy blazer, and a tie. In this neighborhood, so I want you to think about that. Think of the worst neighborhood in your country, wherever that is. I don't know if it's in the South, I don't know if it's in Michigan, I don't know if it's South Central Los Angeles, but think of the worst neighborhood. We walked to that school. Parents, my brother, myself, walk down the hallway. My brother has a British accent. There's kids looking at him, pointing at his clothes first of all, and then he speaks. They're making fun of his accent. I'm 3 years old, okay? I'm looking up, holding my brother's hand. Next thing you know, there's 25 kids surrounding my brother and I. My parents are completely clueless, trying to find the principal's office. And at 3 years old, this is what I said to myself. I said, my parents, I think they love me. I think they care about me, but they are freaking clueless. They have no idea where we live. They don't understand this world. And therefore, I can't trust them. That's what I decided at 3 years old. And that was my 1% shift. And that 1% led me on a very different journey than everyone else. And I have a theory. I say that children are either parented or parented. So what that means, if you have a connection with your parents, you will grant them the opportunity to teach you right from wrong, left from right, how to grow old, how to live an amazing life. But if that connection is not there through osmosis, you will go to your environment. I went to my peers. And what did I say? What environment did I grow up in? I started seeing domestic violence when I was 5 years old. I was seeing prostitutes, drug addicts on the street, 6, 7 years old. There was somebody by the name of Clifford Olson that did really, really bad things to kids. I was almost abducted by him when I was 6 years old. That was the environment that I was in. So what does one do when they're placed in that environment? They fall into survival mode. So I rolled up my sleeves and I did what I thought was meant to do in that environment. And that was, I'm going to be a dog-eat-dog world. I'm going to get tough, I'm going to keep things real, and no one's going to mess with me. I lived my life through survival, and I lived my life through fear. I didn't listen to my parents anymore. I started getting into drugs when I was 10 years old. By the time I was 12 years old, I started getting arrested. By the time I was 14 years old, I was arrested over a dozen times. My father finally said, well, you're so out of control, I don't even know what to do. The next time the cops call, I'm going to tell them I'm not picking you up. 14 years old. Cops call my parents. My dad hangs up on them. Cops, you all of a sudden become a ward of the state, a ward of the province. Straight to jail. YDC, Youth Detention Center. Now, I don't know if any of you have been to YDC, but there's a lot of 17, 18-year-old boys there on steroids that look like machines and men, and when you're 14 years old, you're a skinny little weakling. For the next 6 months, I got my ass handed to me. And I got a PhD in crime, violence, drugs. 6 months later, I got out. My ego, bigger than this auditorium, was not going to go back home. There was no way I was going back home to them. They did that to me. Because I was a victim. I was playing victim mode, which we're going to get into. Stayed at friends' homes. That eventually exhausted itself. And there I was, 14 years old, homeless, sleeping on park benches. Not knowing where my next meal was going to come from. By the time I got there, and you're in that survival mode, you do whatever it takes. You do whatever it takes to put a roof on your head. You do whatever it takes to put food in your tummy. You do whatever it takes for the next step. Life pushed me to that edge. By the time I was 16 years old, I'd been in over 100 street fights. By the time I was 17 years old, I'd been in street gang fights. I'd been stabbed multiple times. I'd been shot. Bullet missed my heart by ½ an inch. Went right through my shoulder, right through the back. That's how close I lived my life to the edge. When I was 18 years old, the duality between what I knew, values that were instilled within me from my family, began to surface. And how I was living my life. And the choices I was making. You see, back then, it was all about this. It's my parents. It's the environment. It was where I was raised. I was playing that victim role. But the choices I made, because it was my choices that got me in that environment. And based on those choices, I eventually hit rock bottom. 18 years old, multiple overdoses, couldn't leave the house without a loaded gun, extreme anxiety, paranoia, and I essentially had a nervous breakdown. My whole system shut down. Literally in a bed, fetal position, 3.5 months. That, my friends, was the lows of lows. And that happened after I had a failed suicide attempt. It's a fascinating place when you get to a place in your life where the idea of leaving this world becomes far more appealing than actually staying. And that was my low of low. And that is my motivation for life. You see, when you lose this, when you lose your mind, your body, your vehicle to experience life, when you lose your connection at a soul level to who you are and have helplessness, and you're at the lows and lows of your life, something changed when I had that failed suicide attempt. Something within me, something said, I want to stay here a little bit more than I want to leave. And that was enough. And it started with one step, one journey, moving in that direction forward at the time. So we'll fast forward. I dropped out of school in grade 9, so I have a grade 8 education. I formally do not have a high school diploma. However, at age 19, when I decided I'd been athletic my whole life, I studied martial arts for many years, 14 years. I played hockey my entire life. I loved aggressive sports. I was a wrestler. So I said, I'm going to understand this mind-body thing. Maybe I'll go to school and be a personal trainer or something like that. So what I did was, I went to night school, and in 16 months, I did grade 9, 10, 11, 12. Math, chemistry, biology, English, whatever I needed to get into college. So eventually, I got my stuff together. But here's the difference. I did not go to school to get grades. I did not go to school to get a pat on my shoulder. I went to school to learn facts, information, knowledge, and hopefully some wisdom along the way. I spent the next 11 years in post-secondary school, and I made a commitment to myself. I am going to come here because I want to be a student. I want to be a student of life. And I want to learn from life. And I want to understand why I made the choices I made, how I ended up where I ended up, how I was able to heal myself. Because guess what? The docs, they wanted to give me drugs. And I said, you know what? I've been on drugs since I was 10 years old. It's drugs that got me here. And I'm pretty sure your drugs are not going to get me out of here. That's what an uneducated high school dropout 18-year-old said to a medical doctor. I was tough as nails, but I wasn't school smart, but common sense was really big, because without common sense, you don't survive in that world. Cold turkey, quit everything, started my journey, got myself back. When I was in school, I made a commitment to myself. I will read at least one research article every single day when I'm in school. I did that for 11 years. Most days I read several. Do the math on that. Today, here I am, 26 years later, I've read and referenced well over 15,000 books, research articles, from the physical to the metaphysical to the spiritual to the physiological. Got my stuff together to learn, to understand what this amazing vessel is. 26 years, no drugs in my body. No Advil, no Tylenol. My dentist thinks I'm nuts because I meditate when they do anything with me. Because I understand what that stuff does. And how did I get there? How did I arrive in this place? We talk about vitalism. Vitalism, by the way, is not a chiropractic term. Vitalism is actually a life term. And this is what it means. It means the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. When you take these 70 to 100 trillion cells, put them together, there is something more there. When you take 70 trillion mechanical parts, put them together, there's not something more. You got a flat in your tire, fix the flat, the car is good. You got something going on in one part of your body or one part of your mind, it affects the entirety of the system. It is a whole organism that's totally connected as one. And that's so important to understand with what we do and who we are and what we're doing here. Now, I want to share some things that I'm a part of. And I don't want to share those things to impress you. I don't want you to get that idea. This is not an ego trip. I want to share those things because I'm pretty sure most people in here started out life with a little more stability than I started out life. Maybe some of you haven't. And if you haven't, my heart goes out to you and I feel you and I know what it's like. But if you have, again, what Gandhi said was possible for one is possible for all. Yes, I became a chiropractor. Yes, I practiced. Yes, it was my sole focus. Yet, I had bigger visions. I wanted to take things to a whole new level. Right now, my mission is to impact the lives of millions of people around the world. We're building orphanages in third world countries. 3 months ago, I just raised $162 million with a project that I'm a part of. I want you to think about this. Me, okay? I'm sitting there in a room with venture capitalists, crazy people who are like leaders in the finance world, and I'm going, holy smokes, what am I doing in this room? I have no business being in this room. My education says I shouldn't be here. The way I grew up says I shouldn't be here. But because I have a heart of service, because I want to make a difference, because I have a strong purpose and why, it transcends all of that. Do I get afraid? I get afraid every single day. Every single day I get scared. Every single day I step out of my comfort zone. For 12 years, I was an ultra-endurance athlete. I've raced some of the most challenging ultra-endurance events around the world. 100-mile ultra races. I finished Ironman several times. I've done multi-day stage races. I've taken my mind, body, and soul to the most extreme places to squeeze out every juice, every little aspect, every particle within every nook and cranny in my cell to see what's possible. So I want to talk about some ideas and how we journey there, because it is a journey. I said this. Are you a student of life? Because this is what life's about. Everything that happened in my life, I was responsible for my choices that I made. You know what life is like? I look back at my entire life from being born in Scotland, moving to Canada, everything I went to, my journey through education, my career, and here I am, 44 years old, at Life University, standing on the stage, and this process is connecting the dots and seeing how every single aspect of my life contributed, and every single moment I had the opportunity to make a different choice. The greatest teacher in life is life, to be a student of life. And what I can tell you from physics and metaphysics, your outer world is just a reflection of where you are within yourself. If you don't like what you're seeing on the outside, change what's going on the inside. If you don't like your romantic partner, start being the romantic partner you want to be with. If you don't like your employees, start being the employee or employer that you'd like to work for. If you don't like your patients, start being the doc and patient that you would like to see. And something magically starts to happen. We don't have the time now to get into the physics of all this, but it's magical. So my world, for my first 18 years of my life, was it's a dog-eat-dog world. You got to be tough. You got to be hard. And what did I get? Every force will be opposed by an equal and opposite force. Second law of thermodynamics. If I come with power, strength, and force, that's what I get. If I come with kindness, if I come with forgiveness, if I come with compassion and open heart, guess what I get? Wherever I go, these are the dynamics that I have. We stay at people's homes. I have connections. One of my highest values is connections. I would way rather sleep on the floor at someone's house than in a 5-star hotel, because that's higher on my value list. Are you a student of life? Are you looking at your life as a teacher? What in your life are you not comfortable with? Do you know that your nervous system doesn't know the difference between past, present, and future? If you have any experience, any challenge in your life that you think about right now, and you don't feel anything but peace and gratitude in your physiology, your nervous system is locked in the biology of that trauma and that challenge. Decreasing your bandwidth, decreasing your perception of reality, decreasing your consciousness, not allowing you to grow. Life has been my greatest teacher. Life is your greatest teacher. Why are we here, my friends? Because I'll tell you right now, there is no destination. There is no destination. I thought there was. This is what I thought in chiropractic. I thought, man, I go to all these chiropractic seminars. This is back in 2004, setting up my own practice. I live my life in fear. So fear, bait and switch tactics were not a part of my DNA in practice. And for many reasons, I chose not to have an x-ray machine, not to have a scanner, but to understand and connect with people to develop systems and processes. Because I was committed to my evolution and growth. And I thought the best way to serve chiropractic was I got to see lots of people, I got to serve my community, make a lot of difference in people's lives, and this is what I got. The first 6 DCs that set up in my community all went bankrupt. And they told me, with my ideas, the techniques, very vitalistic, very principled, it's never going to fly, Sukhi. It's never going to fly. And by the way, the 6 DCs before you, they all went bankrupt. You know what I said? I'm different. Was I freaking out? Was I scared? Yeah. You bet I was. Did I believe them sometimes? A lot. But did I lean in? Did I lean into my growth and evolution? Because here's the deal. I don't know how to create that amazing practice back in 2004. Because I haven't grown into the person who's becoming worthy of experiencing those kind of transformations on my table. That kind of volume. And then what happened? This beautiful, beautiful profession of ours, bands of chiropractors, they start calling the colleges. And they start turning me in. Because apparently, I'm doing something wrong. Apparently, I'm like scamming people. I'm ripping people off. Because they can't make $100K in a year, and I'm making over $100K a month. I must be doing something wrong. That was their view. And you know where that starts? It starts right here. It starts right here. Technique wars, philosophy wars. You're bad, I'm good, I'm right, you're wrong. And you think magically you're going to graduate and all of a sudden start to love and hug your fellow chiropractors? It starts right here. You have a choice. You have a choice to be that person right now. This is some of the challenges our profession has, which is the greatest profession in the planet. It is the greatest profession in the planet. Yet, our profession has some healing to do. And it starts right here. Master currency. I'm very big on systems. I'm very big on understanding business and entrepreneurship. I learned about business when I was 14 years old. When I was 16, I was driving a Porsche 911 Turbo. So I became very good at business as a 16-year-old. And I've taken a lot of those ideas and principles, and I've been able to take them into my life today. Obviously refine, obviously to serve, obviously to make a difference. But we must master the art of currency. What is currency? First law of thermodynamics. Energy cannot be created, energy cannot be destroyed, energy can only be transformed into one form to another. So all there is what there is. All the love there is in the world is all the love. All the compassion there is all the compassion. What is currency? If I do something for somebody, some people, all they can give me back is a hug. That is currency, my friends. So let's talk about it. What's money? If you're chasing money, now I get you might be leaving school with 200 to 300K debt. I get that. I get we have bills to pay. But here's the deal, guys. When your level of income goes from about 30K a year to 100K a year, your quality of life increases significantly. Significantly. But when your income goes from 100K a year to $1 million a year, your quality of life is negligible. In fact, there's people making $1 million a year that have a lower quality of life than the people making 100K. What that means is, if you can put food on the table, roof on your head, clothes on your back, that's all that matters. And that's all I've ever wanted to do. That's all I've ever wanted to do. I have a 5-year-old, 2-year-old daughter. My goal is to put food on the table, clothes on their back, and love them immensely. If I can do that, I've been successful. Everything else I do is my why, which we'll get into in just a second. You must master currency. Money is just energy. Don't be afraid of it. Don't hate it. Don't obsess about it. It's just a form of energy. And most of us think we spend money. We do not spend money, okay? Do you spend love? Do you spend compassion? No, you circulate it. That's what money is. You circulate it. I get money, I buy a coffee, I give money. I buy a new suit, they take money, they buy food, they put roofing for their table. That's what money is. It's currency. It has to flow. Don't hoard it. If you focus on it, you lose it. You must master currency. These are some of the principles I'm going to get into this weekend. Journey to your North Star. What on earth is your North Star? Okay? If I gave you a magic wand right now, if I gave you a magic wand and said, wave your magic wand, whatever dream you want, whatever big audacious goal that you want to crush, you will have it. All you got to do is wave your magic wand. That's your North Star. What are you journeying towards? And I can tell you about this. My North Star continually evolved. Because here's where I got to. When I got to a practice, it was a 7-figure practice. From the outside, everyone's like, wow, that's pretty cool. On the inside, I was tired, I was fatigued, my body hurt, and I didn't like it. So I changed it. I totally scaled back and I totally changed it. And I went a different route. In 2010, I started writing my book. 2012, my book came out. When 2012 came around, I spent 3 weekends a month at a hotel room in a large city speaking to audiences like this all over the world. My wife came with me. It was super fun. We traveled the world. We did that for years. But we had a choice. And that choice was, what are our values? What's most important to me? That's how you know your North Star. Number 1 is my health, my vitality. Most important. Because if I don't have my health and vitality, the people that depend on me, I now depend on them. A few years ago, I had a bike crash. I fractured my clavicle in 2 places, my scapula and my pelvis. My eldest daughter, she was about 19 months old. My wife went from having a husband and 19-month-old to 2 19-month-olds. Because I couldn't do anything. I didn't take drugs. And I went through a healing protocol, but I was back training within 2 weeks. Because I understand how the body works, and I give the body this vehicle being so amazing. So when your North Star is like that, I'm around the globe speaking to audiences. Number 2 on my value list was family. Well, you know what? Traveling, being in different cities, speaking, thinking I'm going to publish more books, I'm going to step out of practice, do all this, that didn't align because number 2 was family. How can you have children and raise them to have stability when dad lives with a carry-on luggage on an airport in a hotel room? So then I threw that out. And then I decided to go back into practice more and hold that. And then I decided I was so deep as an ultra endurance athlete into nutrition, nutraceuticals. I am not a straight chiropractor. I'm like hardcore mixer, by the way. Because I believe in mindset, I believe in nutrition, I believe in exercise and movement, I believe in decreasing stress and toxins, and I believe in the nervous system as the foundation of all of that. And that is the missing link. So for 15 years, my wife, who thinks I'm nuts, I had little Ziplocs and baggies, hundreds of them, sourcing the best plant botanicals around the world. Because that's what I love to do. Again, this weekend we'll get into this, but I draw 3 hedgehogs, okay? What do you love to do? What would you love so much you would do it even if you didn't get paid? Number 2, what are you really good at? Think about the things you are good at or could be good at. Number 3, what does the world need? You combine those circles, the middle point will overlap from what you love to do, what you're really good at, and what the world needs. You do that, you will master currency because you will focus on other people. You will focus on making a difference. You will focus on serving people. You will not have to worry about having food on the table, a roof over your head. Master that currency. Master that North Star, seeing what that is for you. So I spent 15 years, because I loved it, sourcing the most crazy botanicals around the world, creating brain nootropics for me, not selling them. Before anyone knew what brain nootropics were, I started doing this 17 years ago, 18 years ago. Now, I happen to have a company that makes brain nootropics. Did I know that 18 years ago? No. But I just leaned into my journey, and all of a sudden the people, the places, the things start to come into my life because I had passion. I was excited. I knew what I wanted to do because that woke me up in the morning and I did it. I didn't care about getting paid. I didn't care about the business. Everything in my life, my friends, has shown up because I've just leaned in to the next step. How do you run a 100-mile ultra marathon? People ask me, how do you do that? This is how you do it. Like this. For 20 hours. That's it. That's all you do. And what am I doing? I'm not thinking about mile 90. I'm thinking about the next step. I'm thinking about the aid station in 2 miles. That's all I'm thinking about. But that's what life is like. If you're going to drive to Disney World from here, you're not thinking about how to get to the parking lot in Florida. You're thinking, which highway do I need to get to from my house? How do I pull out of my driveway? Stop complicating things. It's that simple. Become the CEO of your life. What does a CEO do? I work with a lot of CEOs. Most of my consulting clients are CEOs of big corporations. And I help them get what's between the ears right so they can go kill it in whatever they decide to do. Be the chief executive officer of your life. How do you create a masterpiece day? So important. When you create masterpiece days, you are responding to your environment. You are creating. You are growing what you're doing. You're taking your life to a whole new level. You're not getting caught up. This is how I define it for people. In the end, what do we want? Some of you think you might want money, but I guarantee you don't want money because once you have it, you won't care about it anymore. Every single person on the planet wants 2 things. They did a 70-year Harvard study. In that study, this is what they found after 70 years. Guess what it wasn't? It wasn't the kind of car they drove. Even though Jill and I drive the same car that we love. Cars are nice, but here's the difference. You take that car away from me, you take that car away from him, my volume on my happiness and fulfillment meter does not change. Because that car does not define me. Didn't matter where they lived. Didn't matter how much money they had. In the end, after 70 years, this is what they said. Happiness, fulfillment, and community. That's what they wanted. That was a defining thing of success. Happiness, fulfillment, and community. Are you building happiness, fulfillment throughout your day? You want to be happy? Start doing the things that make you happy. If If you want to feel happy, don't focus on feeling happy. This is how it works. First, you have to have your identity. We go back to your North Star. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to show up as the world? If you're seeing 1,000 people a week in your office, how would you walk? How would you talk? How would you communicate to people? How would you hug people? How would you greet people on the street? What would your posture be? Start being that right now. When you start being that right now, guess what happens? Your behavior starts to change. And what we know through science, when you change your behavior, then you change your feelings. Don't try to feel good. Start being that in which you desire. Your identity drives your behavior, which drives your feelings. And ultimately, that's what gets you to happiness and fulfillment. That's what takes your life to a whole new level. So I'm a data freak, and what I do is, you want to have a masterpiece day? My days begin where I live, which is Pacific Standard Time, at 4:30 a.m. And at 4:30 a.m., I go through a very specific ritual till 7:30 a.m., till my daughters and wife get up. Then I spend time with them. And that sets me up for success. Again, I don't have the time to get into it, but I'll get into the details later. Not here, somewhere else. When you create a masterpiece day, here's one of the things you have to do. You must win the first 60 minutes of your day. You must do that. And when things don't go as planned, you improvise. I had a student, Shannon, pick me up from the airport last night. We had a great dinner. She dropped me off at Jill's house. We hung out, had a good time. I was going to use his car. We had some car issues at the place because I was going to come to the school to work out this morning. I work out every day, but I couldn't get the car to work out. So I improvised. I got up early this morning, threw on my runners, and I did an 11-mile run this morning because that's winning the first hour of my day. That's what I need to do to be on point, on purpose. But what do you need to do? Win the first hour of your day. When you win the first hour of your day, because you're the CEO of your life, you're responding to your life. Because here's the deal, my friends. There are going to be what we call challenges. There's going to be failures. And here's the thing. The bigger you play in life, the bigger challenges you have. When people see my bio and they see, whatever I've accomplished in my life, this is what they don't know. They don't know that I've failed 99% of stuff that I put forward. My batting average sucks. But all people think about is the 1%. And overnight success is about 15 or 20 years. You just hear about what they did last week, but you don't know they've been crafting their art because they're the CEO of their life for the past decade or two. You must embrace the challenges and your failures. In my TED Talk, I talk about challenges and failures. And I simply say, the challenges in your life are not meant to stop you. They're not meant to hold you back. The challenges in your life are meant to help you discover who you are, what you're made of, and what you can bring to this world. That's why I've had the journey that I've had. That's why I've lived the life I've lived. I've had immense challenges in my life. I still have immense challenges in my life. But my ability to handle uncertainty and not know what that looks like and be in a place of trust is the aspect that's brought me to where I want to be, to move me to that place. In my 100-mile race, where I finished second place overall, it was a North American Championship race. I was running, things were going good. My wife, she has a huge list of all my nutrition, all my hydration, checklist, because after 6 hours, I check out. So she's just telling me, you need to eat this by the next aid station. You need to drink this by the next aid station, because the screws are coming off up here. And you're in a totally different zone. We call the runner's high, which I live for every single day. I get to mile 70. And at mile 70, I lose my gut. I lose my stomach. I start vomiting, okay? This is the death in ultra-endurance sport. When you lose your stomach, your ability to produce ATP by taking in nutrition shuts down. No ATP, none of this. The party is going to be over. The wheels are coming off the bus. So what do? I have a choice, okay? There's morphological fields, different levels of ideas and consciousness. Everything that's been created in this universe, physics tells us, are a bunch of waves floating around. And our conscious intention takes those waves, collapse them into a particle of reality, and then we experience it in a material form. That's quantum physics 101. It took me about 10 years to learn that. And I said, damn, I'm vomiting. What am I going to do? This race is going to be over. I got 30 minutes. I got 30 miles. Sorry, he said 5 minutes, and I said 30 minutes. I got 30 miles to go. Long story short, this is what I did. I looked down and I went, no! And started using a lot of F-bombs, grabbed that food, force-fed it, and said, you're going to eat this. And started stuffing it down my face. So in life, I have a metaphor. I call it the 70-mile mark in life. And you will hit it. And it's not meant to stop you. Because if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have finished on the podium and I could have gave up. Giving up, NGU, never give up. It can't be in your DNA. You have to trust the process. There is no such thing as an overnight success. There is no such thing. I didn't get here overnight. It's been a long journey. It's been 26 years of life to get here. And that doesn't include the first 18 years that got me here. And I close with this. Stockdale paradox. Stockdale was a military man in a POW camp. In that POW camp, he was in solitary confinement for 4.5 years. He was in leg locks for 2.5 years. He was brutally tortured 15 times. And other people within that concentration camp, they'd be like, we're going to be out. This spring, we're going to be out. Didn't happen. This Thanksgiving, we're going to be out. Didn't happen. This Christmas, we're going to be out. Didn't happen. He called that naive optimism. He did not have naive optimism. He knew he wasn't going to be out. But he knew he would get out one day. And he became the commanding officer in this POW camp. He made it out. My favorite book, Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, very similar story. So here's the deal. There is your time, and then there's the universe's time. Nobody is an overnight success. You don't get to where you want in practice in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. It means nothing. Horticultural time. Do you plant a seed in the soil today and go out tomorrow to see if the kale's growing? No! You check it out in 6 months or a year. We live on horticultural time. You plant seeds today. You trust the process. You move forward. You do that. Whatever you put your mind to, whatever your North Star is, whatever idea it is, whatever you want to become, however you want to play, however you want to serve, in your own unique capacity, your song, your vision. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see a bunch of clones. I want to see your unique individuality, your unique expression brought to chiropractic, brought to our profession, embracing these principles of loving people and serving people, impacting their lives, transforming lives, being philanthropic. That's what I want to see. And what's possible for one is possible for all. Thank you so much.
Good job. Thank you.
Bless us with your talent and your wisdom.